A record-shattering weather pattern is developing in the United States where we are going to see the potential for some record-breaking warmth over the next week, and then eventually as we go into early January, that is going to flip where we are expecting a large Arctic blast that will likely return the potential for big winter storms and as well below average temperatures. So in today's forecast, we're going to break down exactly what you need to know about the weather that'll be impacting the United States over the next couple of weeks, and we'll begin with what's happening across the country today. And right now across the East Coast, things are very quiet here the day before Christmas Eve. For the most part, clear conditions out there. That will change though for some areas, and we'll talk more about that here in just a moment. Biggest reason why is because this right here is a band of moisture that is going to be moving through the Great Lakes today, and this is actually going to spawn the potential for some snow showers and even at times heavy snowfall that could lead to several inches of snow back over in areas like Michigan, Wisconsin, and then eventually as we go into tonight and tomorrow, this will move into areas like the Northeast. So we'll talk more about that here in a moment. And also there's a potential for some freezing rain back down in areas like North Carolina out of this particular disturbance. Now all of this is going to be coming from our atmospheric river events that are occurring along the west coast of the United States. Essentially what this means is that we are seeing tons of rainfall from a very amplified jet stream back over in the Pacific Ocean, and this is also what's going to bring our storm systems here in the Great Plains and anywhere east of the Great Plains over the next week or two. Now before we talk about this big weather pattern change, I do want to talk more about what's happening over the next 48 hours, as there will be some snowfall across areas like the Midwest, the Great Lakes, and as well as back through the Northeast over the next 48 hours. We'll begin with what's happening today. Already we do have some light to moderate snow falling from northern central Wisconsin back into northern Michigan. As we get closer to lunchtime, the snow coverage is going to intensify pretty quickly. Most of Michigan will at least be dealing with some sort of light to moderate snowfall. Light, moderate, and even at times heavy snowfall will be possible back over in western Wisconsin. Could even see the potential for some very low visibility due to the snow back over in western Wisconsin this afternoon. Eventually by this evening, the snow continues and will continue to stay moderate for most of Michigan by around 6 to 7 o'clock tonight, and then eventually after midnight the snow is going to be moving out, and then we'll be mostly done with any sort of snow aside from maybe an isolated lake effect snow shower. In terms of total snowfall accumulation between now all the way through tomorrow morning, right now we're looking at the best chance for over 6 inches of snow back over in northern central Michigan. Could have an isolated spot near 9 to 10 inches of snow. Majority of us will see between 3 to 5 inches, and then back between Detroit through Kalamazoo, you'll be lucky really to get even a coating. Most of those areas will likely just be a slushy coating. And then back over in Wisconsin, even though the snow could be heavy at times, it's not going to accumulate very easily. At most we're going to be seeing a coating to a couple of inches, and then maybe an isolated spot or two could overperform, mainly eastern Wisconsin, maybe around 4 to 5 inches of snow. Back over in the Northeast, the snow will ramp up later this evening. Really light snow moving into New York as we get closer to about 5-6 o'clock. Eventually heavier snowfall will be moving into western New York and northwestern Pennsylvania as we get closer to midnight, and then overnight into Tuesday morning the snow is going to weaken relatively quickly, but this snow will make it more than likely all the way to New York City. Could even see some snow flurries back over in areas like Washington DC. Here's the concern: we could see a little bit of freezing rain around Washington DC and back into northern Virginia during the early portion of Tuesday, so that could cause some problems, especially since many of you could be traveling as we go into Christmas Eve. Now in terms of total snowfall accumulation, it will vary depending on where you are. The worst of the snow will be in northern New York and also back through parts of Vermont and New Hampshire, where 5 to 10 inches of snow will be possible. But even back over in areas like western New York and northwestern Pennsylvania, at best you're going to be talking about 2 to 5 inches of snowfall. So not a whole lot, but definitely enough there for maybe you to go ahead and build a snowman right before Christmas, maybe even build your own Santa Claus or something like that. You never know, you might have a little fun idea in mind. And then in terms of ice accumulation, something that we don't want, really we're only looking at a trace to maybe upwards of a 20th of an inch of ice around the Washington DC area, but that is enough to cause some slick roadways, especially if they're untreated, so definitely something you want to keep in mind. And then up and down the Appalachian Mountains and into parts of western New York and central Pennsylvania, anywhere from a glazing of ice, some spots in the higher elevations getting upwards of a 1/10 of an inch of ice. Now let's talk more about the weather pattern that's going to be impacting the United States over the next couple of weeks. And this is a very interesting weather pattern in my opinion, because during this time of the year we are very accustomed to seeing big atmospheric river events, basically meaning large scale troughs and lots of of moisture coming out of the Pacific Ocean, leading to flooding rainfall up and down the west coast of the United States. That's very typical, but this one's lasting a lot longer than most do. This one's going to be going on for the next week or so, maybe even upwards of the next 2 weeks, and this is going to continue to pummel tons of rain into the west coast. Look how strong this jet stream is here in the Pacific Ocean. This is going to continue to allow for tons of rain and snow along the west coast of the United States. Now here's the thing, part of this is going to break off into these troughs that move over the Rocky Mountains. This is what we call a Colorado low, and these are capable of producing many things, including severe weather, and in some cases we can get winter storms with them as well. So this is something that we're gonna have to watch for as we go throughout the next couple of weeks, as these move throughout the Rocky Mountains and eventually into the United States. The majority of them are likely going to take a track like this where they go into the southern plains and then go off to the north and east. This is pretty common to bring at least some severe weather, and this also could bring a winter storm aspect to it. But right now it looks like areas like the Great Plains, the Midwest, and the Mississippi River Valley are going to be most intact here for some heavy rainfall and as well as maybe some severe weather over the next couple of weeks. As we go into the first week of January, that's when things get a little bit more different. We're going to start to see Arctic air build here in Canada, and we do think that's going to unleash in the United States and bring the potential for very frigid weather, and we'll talk more about that here in just a few minutes. Now let's talk more about what's upcoming over the next couple of weeks in terms of precipitation, like snow, rain, and even some severe weather. We'll begin with what's happening today into tomorrow. Again, that snow will be moving across the Great Lakes and into the Northeast tonight. This will bring several inches of snowfall. We just talked about that a moment ago. As we go into Christmas Eve, that is where we're going to be dealing with a couple different things. Lots of rain and snow on the west coast, including heavy snow in the higher elevations. Some showers and thunderstorms will be possible tomorrow in Texas, back through even areas like Missouri. Isolated severe weather can't be ruled out, especially back over in northeast Texas. And then eventually, as we go into the later half of the day, there will be some showers and thunderstorms possible just offshore there of the Carolinas. Once we go into Christmas Day, it's going to be mostly nice for most of us. The only areas that will be dealing with some more nasty weather will be mostly the Pacific Northwest, with some showers being possible there, and then maybe some scattered showers and a couple thunderstorms possible anywhere from the Ohio Valley back into the lower Mississippi Valley. As we go into the day after Christmas, this is one of the days that I'm concerned that we could see some severe weather, and we may even have a severe weather live stream coming up here soon if this does materialize into a bigger event as we go into the 26th, which is Thursday. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel and click the bell icon so you're notified if we end up going live on Thursday. I think damaging winds, a little bit of hail, and maybe even a couple of tornadoes will be possible. As we go into Friday and Saturday, rain will continue for the Midwest and the Ohio Valley. By the time we go into Sunday, there's a chance that we get another severe weather threat back over in the Dixie Alley. So another thing to watch for as we go closer to the new year. And then eventually by New Year's Eve, we're going to be talking about probably a bit of a drier pattern. And then after the new year, I think we're going to start to talk about the potential for maybe a big winter storm, or at least an Arctic blast here in the United States that'll bring much colder weather to the country. Now, if you're wondering if you are going to see a white Christmas this year, this is the current snow depth forecast as we go into Christmas Day. Right now, not looking promising for most of the country. The areas that will see a white Christmas, mostly from North Dakota back into Wisconsin and Michigan, and then also back through the Northeast and the higher elevations here throughout the Pacific Northwest and the Rocky Mountains. Otherwise, not really looking at anything for good news if you're looking forward to a white Christmas elsewhere. In terms of total rainfall accumulation through New Year's Eve, we are currently talking about a pretty decent amount of rain anywhere from Texas back through Michigan, and then also back over on the west coast. Many areas will pick up 10 to 15 inches of rain just over the next 8 days. Key at the bottom of your screen just so you can kind of give yourself an idea of how much rain you might end up seeing here over the next 7 to 10 days. Now, we got a big heat wave coming for Christmas and even after Christmas, and then we're going to be talking about an Arctic blast in the United States. To begin with, we have above average temperatures almost across the entire country today and tomorrow, other than really the west coast, which those areas will be below average due to all the rain that they're seeing and also the atmospheric rivers. This heat wave will build, especially by Thursday into Friday. Well above average temperatures are expected in areas like the Midwest, and record-breaking low maximum temperatures are expected, which basically means the morning temperature is going to be very warm. That's what that essentially means. So we could have some areas waking up with 40s and 50s in the morning back over in the Midwest as we get closer to Friday and Saturday, and then eventually as we get closer to the new year, this heat is just going to continue. Now, for the most part, these are not going to be all record-breaking high temperatures, but again, the low maximum temperatures is what's going to really be the biggest record-breaking thing that we're going to be seeing as we get closer to the new year. And then eventually, as we go into the beginning of 2025, right now the long-term thinking is that the temperatures will start to become a little bit different. We're going to be dealing with a balance basically of cold and warm air. And then I think as we get closer to the second week of January, we are going to see some sort of large-scale cold or more than likely Arctic blast, basically bringing tons of Arctic air out of Canada and then eventually moving throughout the United States. Now again, this is obviously long-term, still well over 1 to 2 weeks out. However, there is a pretty high confidence right now that we are going to see below average temperatures as we get closer to around January 7th through about January 15th. And the Climate Prediction Center also does agree with that, thinking that below average temperatures are at least likely at this time. Now, in terms of the actual temperatures, by the time we get closer to Friday, this is one of the days that we're going to be dealing with warm weather for much of the country, at least mild. Many areas in the Midwest and the Ohio Valley in the 50s and even low 60s for high temperatures. And then even as we go into Saturday, some areas like Western Illinois could climb into the mid 60s. Again, we are currently at the end of December. This is not typical, so definitely much warmer than average. And then as we go throughout the next few days following that, so by Sunday into Monday, the temperatures again remain very similar. We're just going to be dealing with a very mild stretch of weather here for much of the United States through the rest of this year. And just a friendly reminder, today is the last day that I am offering 40% off on our personalized videos for the holidays. So if you want to get one as a Christmas gift, make sure to go check that out. It's one of the top links in the description below. Perfect stocking stuffer for a friend or family member, even though it's not going into your stocking, unless you are literally putting your phone into the stocking. You can at least check that out. Again, it's going to be one of the top links in the description below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to hit the like button down below and subscribe if you've not already.